backtracking to what Angela Merkel declared a few years ago and her being criticized by her opponents because of the fact that Germany was in dire need of laborers. This is an article in The Guardian dated 17th of October 2010, that's almost 5 years ago, entitled Angela Merkel Declares Death of German Multiculturalism. Chancellor Angela Merkel's remark, which claimed multiculturalism has failed utterly in Germany, was interpreted as a shift rightwards from previous views. And she stated that it has been interpreted as a startling shift from her previous position. She said it had been an illusion of the Germans to think that foreign workers could live happily side by side with Germans. She says, "We kidded ourselves for a while that they wouldn't stay, but that's not the reality," she said in a conference with the youth wing for her Christian Democratic Union Party, referring to the Gastarbeiters, the guest workers who arrived in Germany to fill labor shortages during the economic boom of the 1960s. She said, without elaborating on the nature and causes of this failure, she said, of course the tendency had been to say, let's adopt the multicultural concept and live happily side by side and be happy to be living with each other. But that concept has failed utterly, she said. Merkel's verdict marks a shift in her previous liberal line on immigration, which had always put her at odds with the more conservative wing of the party. While she stressed in the same speech that immigrants were welcome in Germany and that Islam was a part of the nation's modern-day culture, her remarks positioned her close to Horst Seehofer, the Bavarian state premier of the Christian Social Union, who called for an end to immigration from Turkey and the Arab countries. Now this is we have to remember is about 5 years ago. They also aligned Merkel with Tiho Sarrazin, the former Bundesbank member, whose book on how the failure of many of Germany's 16 million immigrants to integrate was contributing to Germany's decline led to his dismissal. Sharing the same podium as Merkel in Potsdam, Seehofer also said multiculturalism is dead and that both the right-wing parties were committed to a dominant German culture. If Germany did not revise its immigration policies, he said, it was in danger of becoming the world's welfare office. In other words, the influx of these Muslim migrants, guest workers, Gastarbeiters, would cause Germany to become a country offering them social services. Seehofer insisted his statement was an attempt to stop right-wing lunatics, but Jürgen Tritton of the Greens called the comments shabby and in danger of lending social acceptability to views similar to those of right-wing extremists. He says, there's a labor shortage in Germany. So this is 5 years ago. They were aware that there is an extreme labor shortage in Germany. In previous videos, we did look into the demographics of Germany. It's an old, basically Europe is filled with older generations, and Europeans are not giving birth to that many children. So as Jean-Claude Juncker of the European Union made in his statement, it's a blessing in disguise. We're having all these refugees and migrants and illegal immigrants coming and flooding the European Union, and we should view this as a blessing in disguise because we need workers, he says. Put them into work the first day they're here. So, this article, again, 5 years ago. There's a labor shortage in Germany. The Chamber of Industry and Commerce has said Germany is short of 400,000 skilled workers and the gap costs 25 billion euros a year, equivalent to 1% of growth annually. While industrialists have called on the German government to remove obstacles stopping more skilled workers entering Germany, citing lengthy bureaucratic procedures, So you see, it's taking too long for these workers to come in. So let's have them flood in very easily and quickly. Open the borders and let them come in with trains, 10,000 at a time. You know, the bureaucratic procedures of the paperwork was taking too long, as well as the unrealistic thresholds. Others say that long-term unemployed German workers should be given more of a chance first. Merkel insisted in her speech that immigrant workers should not be considered until we have done all we can to help our own German people to become qualified and give them a chance. Well, I agree with her on that, from what she said 5 years ago. The issue has caused tension within Merkel's year-old coalition, this was 5 years ago, with the pro-business Free Democrats. For several years, more people have been leaving our country than entering it, said Labour Minister Ursula von der Leyen, member of Merkel's party, and with an allusion to believe people were queuing up to enter Germany. So, for years, more people have been leaving our country than entering it, she said in an interview. Wherever it's possible, we must lower the entry hurdles for those who bring the country forward. I'm laughing. Sorry, I've got to laugh because this is too much of a coincidence. This is too much of a quote-unquote blessing for Europe, as Jean-Claude Juncker said a few days ago. You know, he says, wherever possible, we must do whatever we can to lower the entry hurdles for those who bring the country forward. Merkel faces pressure to take a tougher line on immigration, particularly on so-called integration Verwegener, or those immigrants who show a lack of willingness to adapt to the majority culture, by, for example, refusing to attend German language classes. While trying to embrace both sides of the debate, including repeatedly calling on Germans to accept that foreigners are a part of their country, Merkel cannot have ignored the popular response with which Sarrazin's book was received, nor the repeated polls in which Germans have indicated a growing intolerance. Germans have indicated growing intolerance towards immigrants, which observers say is linked to fears about economic stability, even though the economy is showing strong signs of recovery. And also, a study by Frederick Ebert Foundation found that more than 30% of people questioned agree that Germany was overrun by foreigners. This was 5 years ago. You can imagine what's happening now. I don't think that they're showing it. I'm getting comments from my subscribers and viewers that the mass media is not showing the mass protest throughout Europe, that the residents of the European Union don't want these foreigners overrunning and coming in. So, Germany was overrun by foreigners, while a similar number said they believe that some immigrants had only come to Germany to take advantage of its social welfare. Oh my God! And therefore should be sent back home when jobs are scarce. All right, well, you know, this is too much. It's a comedy of errors. There's okay, so this was, again, 5 years ago. Horst Seehofer, Bavarian state premier, said, integration is the achievement of one who has integrated. I don't have to recognize anyone who lives from the state, rejects that state, refuses to ensure his children receive an education, and continues to produce little headscarfed girls. He means Muslims here. A large number of the Arabs and Turks living in this city, Berlin, has no productive function other than selling fruits and vegetables. Oh, I don't agree with you. I have been to Brussels, and you know what the Turks do there? They sell souvlaki. They sell shish kebab. Over half the shish kebab pots in little spots, you know, the stand-up little counters in Brussels are owned by Turks. I know because I've been there, and that's what happens. So they're not only selling fruits and vegetables, they also have little shish kebab, little kebab places. Turks are conquering Germany, he says, in the same way as Kosovars conquered Kosovo, with a high birth rate. You see, there we go. This is an amazing thing. You have to look at this embedded video in here from 5 years ago. So that's the handwriting on the wall. Overrunning Europe with Muslims and changing the character of Christian Europe. This is why my hero, the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban is busy creating his fences, his walls around his borders. So I'll leave a link below for you for this.